After overcoming the second divorce and his addiction challenges, Eminem would get back into the studio, channeling everything he had been through over the past few years into his music, releasing his next studio album, Relapse, on May 15th, 2009. With the title of this album being another slick double entendre, referring to both Eminem's relapse into addiction that he experienced in the years leading up to his overdose, as well as an artistic relapse, with the project essentially reviving his rap career and the Slim Shady persona who he said he killed on his last publicly released song, When I'm Gone. And Eminem's experiences battling with addiction would form a central theme of this project. The cover art was adorned with an image of Eminem's face made up of miscellaneous pills, with the title card of the project being a prescription label, and he would elaborate on his experience getting clean off the drugs throughout the project, particularly on the track Deja Vu, where he would open up in great detail about his addiction and overdose, even recreating the 911 call from that very night. With the Relapse album, Eminem proved to the world that he could still make quality music without the pills, and his fans were delighted to have him back in the studio. Relapse would debut at #1 on Billboard, becoming the best-selling rap album of 2009. And what with all the renewed attention around Eminem, who had triumphantly returned to public life at this point, naturally, people would still be wondering, what was the situation with Kim? Then, a year later in 2010, a rumour would circulate that Eminem and Kim were seeing each other again, and possibly even expecting another child. However, Eminem would deny these reports in a statement that confirmed that him and Kim were not romantically reunited in any way, but stating that he was instead just maintaining a friendly relationship with her. It seemed that while the Relapse album allowed Eminem to get a lot of the demons surrounding his addiction off his chest, there wasn't much discussion of his relationships or ex-wife, but this would change dramatically on his next project, as later in 2010, Eminem would drop the hit single Love the Way You Lie featuring Rihanna, a song from his next album released on June 18th, 2010, titled Recovery. Obviously a concept album that would discuss Eminem's road to recovery following his relapse. But the song Love the Way You Lie, in a way, is an attempt by Eminem to recover from and reflect on the role that he played in the abusive relationship with Kim. The song featured lyrics where he reflected on their failed reunion, rapping bars that would compare the highs of their love to drink and drug abuse, musing on their on and off again relationships, saying that she loves when she hates him, as well as saying that they're constantly getting stuck in a cycle of leaving each other and then winning each other back, saying that when it's good and he feels like Superman, but when it's bad, it's awful and he doesn't even recognize himself. Even openly expressing shame for getting physical with Kim on occasion. With this being not only a big admission for Eminem, this makes the collaboration with Rihanna, who is singing on the hook of the song, much more impactful when you consider her past violent relationship with Chris Brown. Eminem goes on to rap line after line of emotionally impactful and introspective bars about his toxic relationship with Kim, saying that he loves her so much that he can barely breathe when he's with her, following that up with gut-wrenching lines saying that he used to get fuzzy feelings with Kim, now he's sick of looking at her, and reflecting on the on-again, off-again nature of their relationship, swinging back and forth between going their separate ways and getting back together, with Eminem expressing remorse about making promises that he didn't keep and not getting any more chances after the last time she left. Perhaps this being a reference to his drug use continuing after he got out of rehab and the subsequent breakdown of their second marriage. In the final verse, Eminem explains how both he and Kim say things they regret in their bad-tempered arguments, and echoing earlier sentiments of wanting to get back together, saying that he was the reason for the past relationships breaking down, and detailing times that he told Kim to come back, and taking blame for their past issues and inviting her back into the home, before quickly shifting back to an argument and punching a wall, ending the relationship again for good. Then in the next line, switching back once again to being apologetic and saying that he wants her back once more, before ending the song in a very Slim Shady fashion with another murderous fantasy, much more at home on the Slim Shady LP, saying that if she tries to leave again, he's tying her to the bed and setting the house on fire. With this lyric launching perfectly back into Rihanna's chorus about standing there and watching your loved ones burn, tying together the song's core metaphor of watching a person burn both physically in a house fire and metaphorically seeing them breaking down due to the heated and toxic arguments in the relationship. Not only was this a deeply reflective track for Eminem, exploring his past relationship issues, but it was also a top-tier example of why he's truly one of America's greatest songwriters, let alone rappers. The track is a deeply layered tale and relatable for anybody who's experienced a toxic relationship on either side of the coin. And of course, in true Eminem style, this relatability translated into sales, with Love the Way You Lie becoming Eminem's biggest selling single ever. By May 2020 alone, the track had whopped up a whopping 37 million worldwide sales. It received 5 Grammy nominations and charted in over 27 countries, including number ones in Australia, Austria, Belgium, Canada, Denmark, Finland, Germany, Hungary, Ireland, Israel, Italy, Luxembourg, New Zealand, Norway, Poland, Romania, Slovakia, South Korea, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, and of course, the top of the US Billboard chart. It went diamond in the US and was certified platinum 13 times, only surpassed in Australia, where it went 14 times platinum. It was a ridiculous song. And once again, Eminem had proved to the world that he still had it. Not only that, but he had proven that he could discuss his relationship with Kim in a much more sympathetic and introspective way than he had previously on his murderous anthems. With this representing a perfect example of Eminem, the top-tier songwriter, moving away from that Slim Shady persona that he relied on previously. This showed the true level of growth and recovery that he had experienced since getting out of rehab and returning to the rap game sober. Eminem was truly on a roll, and he would show no signs of letting up as the years continued to go by. A few years later, on November the 5th, 2013, Eminem would release a sequel to his infamous 2000 release, titled the Marshall Mathers LP 2. And the deluxe edition of that album would see Eminem including the song Stronger Than I Was, which gives yet another sympathetic insight into his relationship with Kim, reflecting on the strength that he got from that relationship, as well as apologising for how he acted towards her in the past, with lyrics on the song that would hint at Kim's unsupportive attitude in the early stages of M's career, as M would sing that Kim used to tell him that he would be nothing without her, leading him to beg her not to leave. The opening of the song would lead into a contrasting chorus, suggesting that he would emerge stronger than he was before they met. Now, this track is another amazing piece of songwriting by Eminem, because the verses are written in a way whereby the song can actually apply to both M and Kim's perspectives. As we know, both sides of the relationship have been toxic and characterized by cheating and emotional manipulation, so the song's sentiment works simultaneously as a sympathetic sonnet, with M putting himself in Kim's shoes and acknowledging the hurtful experience he put her through, as well as him venting about his own perspective and the heartache of her walking away from him. It seems clear to me that this song is focused on the failure of their second marriage, with lyrics referencing his dream of them reconciling and being a family unit again as dead, and with a third verse that focuses primarily on the crushing feelings after the other partner walked away from the relationship, comparing that feeling to actual death, and expressing that after the last breakup, he felt that the whole relationship was a lie, which if you read from Kim's perspective, is really Eminem admitting that he let her down by giving her the impression that he was genuine about reconciling again before walking away, with later lyrics reading from M's perspective, suggesting that he wished he'd fought more for the relationship to survive at the time, but he just didn't have the strength. The song overall strikes a positive tone, with M saying that despite the devastating death of this relationship, he's had to break out of the slump and overcome this heartbreak, ultimately ending the song with one final regretful lyric suggesting that he had planned to call after that final breakup, but he couldn't think of what to say, suggesting that this song itself is perhaps the final closure to that failed marriage and perhaps an apology for walking out on Kim a second time. Once again, in November 2013, shortly after the release of the Marshall Mathers LP 2, rumours would surface in the Daily Mail suggesting that M and Kim were rekindling their romance once again, quoting Kim's mother, who told the paper that M was seeing Kim all the time, along with reports that he was allegedly building her a new mansion on 22 Mile, just 5 miles from his home, with this newspaper source suggesting that Kim had actually been clean of substances for years now, and that as a result, M and Kim were getting on better than ever. However, unfortunately, this wouldn't seem to be the case. Eminem and Kim wouldn't reconcile, and sadly, Kim would not remain sober. Despite Eminem's progress in recovery, a few years later, Kim's own struggles with alcohol would catch up with her, unfortunately catapulting her into the media spotlight once again for all the wrong reasons.